Please welcome, I'll let you catch your breath, the executive producer of the film, Sheila Nevins. Welcome back. And someone who I think needs no introduction and hopefully can catch his breath too, Aaron Castro.
We acted like we knew which chairs to take.
Yeah, I'm used to sitting on the left.
Oh, you are? Okay.
You have both good sides, though, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah. Not so sure about that. This is the great Aaron Castro. Loud inside. I mean, this was not an easy film or an easy thing for him to do. And in the name of forgiveness, I would think he would be the world's authority on forgiveness. Do you forgive John Henry?
I do.
Are you sorry that you... We have not had this discussion, actually. Is that accurate?
That's completely accurate. We haven't.
We've hugged and cried, but we haven't. I haven't asked you these questions. If you could do it all over again, what would you do differently?
To be honest, I think I would have allowed myself to be open and vulnerable to the idea of forgiveness, instead of living so many years of my life being angry and hateful and torturing myself with thinking that I had to be the person to push the movement of his death, because that's what the outside world told me justice was. That's what you think in Texas. It's, that's just how you believe, an eye for an eye. And I never really truly asked myself, what do I think? How do I really feel? And more so than that, it's what do I believe in my heart, and what's my own opinion on it? So I would have did it a lot sooner.
I mean, do you realize how unusual and wonderful you are to have gone through what you went through and to still feel this word forgiveness?
I think it's just a beautiful part of the process, and allowing myself to go through the process. And I don't feel any great or grand or special or look what I did in terms of forgiving him, and I'm a great human being for it. I feel like it was authentically how I felt in the moment, the transition from letting go of the hate and the anger into the I'm tired of feeling this way. How can I move on and live with myself long after John Henry Ramirez is gone, and I got what I ultimately for so many years asked for? Did that make me happy? Did that allow me to be successful in my personal life because I got what I wanted, somebody else dead?
Do you think that his death allowed you to forgive him?
I had already forgave him before he was executed. But I think in the moment where you see I got the official word from the radio broadcast that he was officially dead, settling in with the fact that I had accepted, honestly, I figured it wasn't happening. It had stopped 3 times already. So I said, you know what, this time I'm going to forgive, I'm going to move on. I've tried the hateful route, I've tried being angry with myself, I've tried doing everything the world says you're supposed to do as the victim's son. It hasn't helped me any. So there was a lot that happened in between when I was getting interviewed at first and the day of execution that you don't get to see. And that's me really taking the time to reflect my opinions and my thoughts and how I was going to move forward after this was all said and done.
But, I mean, you're so unusual to be able to, you're very brave to be able to step through it and then step out of it. I think you're extraordinary, and you know that I love you anyway.
Yeah,
but,
I appreciate it. I think you have to be brave to allow yourself to be vulnerable. I spend a lot of my time running away from my problems, running away from issues. And it really, one of the biggest most traumatizing things of my life, that's when I decide to face things head on with myself and with the realization of the situation. The process and the bravery, I think, is of allowing myself to be vulnerable and authentic to myself.
So what you're saying really is that you forgive yourself and you forgive him.
Absolutely.
That the two things went together.
And it was up to me to get there. But if I never let
Do you
myself...
ever believe in the death penalty or think that anyone should get the death penalty? Or is that just too cold a question?
There's a lot in that question, but I think over time, since the documentary, I've changed. I'm not for death penalty. I truly believe, with the reflection, that God is the judge, the jury, and he gives the ultimate verdict. And I am just a human being. I should not be in charge of another human deciding whether they live or die, and I will never allow myself to feel that way again. I will never... What good does it do regardless, you know? God says, when it's your time, it's your time. Me pushing for someone to be murdered or killed, it's just, there's no good coming from that.
Is the death penalty murder?
It is murder. Human beings killing another human being. You can use the law and you can use all these other things to justify it, but at the end of the day, another human is physically killing another human being. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, but forgiving, you forgive him for killing your father?
I do forgive him.
I mean, I always wonder, not that this is in any way about me, if I would forgive if someone killed my child. I don't know if I could be as wonderful as you are.
As soon as I started to have the thoughts, a lot of things come when you start thinking about this. As soon as I had the thoughts of forgiveness, little things on a daily basis started to occur with me that I hadn't felt.
In other words, from the forgiveness, you were able to see your life differently?
I started to see
That's
transparent
interesting.
change.
Yeah, I wouldn't think of that, which is the forgiveness is a lesson plan for a certain kind of living.
But I had just completely blocked that out of any realm of
Because
possibility.
Aaron is a very unusual survivor of what he's had to survive. And I think the forgiveness, and I'm not a preacher, well, I am a preacher, but I don't have any license. But I think what I've learned from you is that in forgiveness, there is insight, that the brilliance of you and the joy of being with you is your insight into loss and found. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's fair, most definitely. Like I said, opening yourself up to the possibility is what has to happen first. You know, I could be angry about this. I could be hateful about this. Where is the progression of your life when it's a blockade? It's blocking you from moving forward as a human being and as an individual. And I didn't realize that. I just thought that is what I needed to do. This guy killed my dad. I have to be his number one defender. I didn't realize that there's other ways to defend.
Would your father have wanted to forgive John Henry?
I believe ultimately, it's a tough question, but
Well, I was making it too easy for
yeah,
you.
I know. I don't know. What I would say is that he would be proud of whatever decision I made, because I truly believe that he would know that I'm a person that thinks, tries to not just react and make the best decision. Now, I'm hard-headed, so it may take me some time, but I think ultimately I go with my instinct. I go with my gut. I pray, and I
You
try to
believe
make
in God?
Absolutely.
You do?
Yeah, I do believe in God.
Like, what is it? Did he help you make your decision, or she?
I believe so. I grew up in the church. Now, am I a practicing Christian? I wouldn't say that. I grew up so many times in the church, 3 times a week. You know, it was rough. But it gave me a foundation and fundamentals. And I always tell people, listen, even if it's not God, even if it's, whatever it is you believe in, have faith in something. If you have faith in something, there's a direction that you can go towards. But if you have faith in nothing, then you have a feeling of uneasiness. You have a feeling of unsatisfactoriness. You have a feeling of what am I living for? But if you have faith in something, whatever it is you're going through, when human beings fail you and your friends don't answer your phone calls, or your parents aren't there for you, or your siblings are living their own life and they're not there for you, you have faith that can hold you up. And without that, you just fall straight down.
You should be a priest or a teacher
No,
or a psychiatrist.
No, no way.
I think, would you? Yes.
No way.
The boss is asking a
Oh.
question.
I wanted to ask a question, if that's okay. I wanted to know if he went through also his own process in terms of looking for his redemption before his death. If he wouldn't have gone through that, would you have still forgiven him?
Yes, because he had nothing to do with my process. He was the reason that my process occurred, and it shouldn't have taken my father's life for me to understand what I believe in and how I feel. But because of the experience and because of what he did, I was able to go through the process. But regardless of however he changed, which is a different discussion, that can't affect what I'm thinking. It's choosing to forgive isn't a reaction. The reaction was me being hateful and angry and living my life that way. That was the reaction. It was not helping me any. Deciding on my own, opening myself up in my heart to be vulnerable. Not only that, knowing that they're filming and this happening during the filming process, that, people are going to say this is your stance now. You know, I had to get rid of all that and just say, you know what, just be me and just think what I want to think. And if whatever my viewpoint or position turns out to be, that's what it is. I could stand proud of it at the end of the day. And when people come up to me and say, well, why did you make this decision or that decision? I could say, because that's what came out of my heart. And I always win at that point.
Do you believe that we should be asking questions? Okay.
I have a mic for you right here.
Who does this? Okay.
Thank you. Sir, I certainly appreciate all that you shared with us, and thank you, Miss, for putting all this together. But let me ask you this. I have a little experience in front of cameras and so forth over the years, and even as an actor, sometimes the idea of presenting something for a camera creates a certain self-consciousness. Did that stand in the way of your being truthful with yourself about the whole situation?
I told myself beforehand to not let that happen. Now, what you don't know is I didn't want this film to happen. I was advocating for it not to happen. That's why I got in contact with the producer. It took a lot of conversations, a lot of hours, a lot of late night talks, and then I felt that she really truly cared about what happened to my dad.
The producer, Smitri Mundri, would call me and say, I don't know if he's going to do it. And I would say, there's no film without him. And she said, I'm trying to get him to talk. So clearly, you were going through some process before. I mean, he didn't just appear in front of camera. But I was not there. I can't tell you what I saw, but I can tell you what I felt through the process. Was that he really wanted his experience to be shared and to learn from it. But I think, would it be wrong to say that by making it public in that way, it helped you wrestle with it?
It made me wrestle with it.
Yeah.
I knew at the end of the day I had to be accountable of the things I said. But like I said, I could never go wrong, and it eliminated me having to worry, to get to your question, about that if I just was able to be me. Whether the good or the bad, and I didn't know what was going to come from it. I didn't know if I was going to be even more angrier. I didn't know I was going to be the number one advocate for the death penalty. I didn't know if I was going to celebrate after he got executed. I was surprised by myself. The gears were turning when I found out that he died officially. I was surprised that I wasn't jumping for joy. But I think because I had already allowed myself the thought of forgiving before it, because I guess I had already went through it 3 times, the stay of execution. When it actually did occur, my mind was open to the possibility of, whoa, I am not happy. This isn't a celebration. Like I said, what how do I feel? And it took me a lot of time. It took a lot of time to get to the point of being able to stand by, you know what, I forgive them, and that's okay. And people may hate me. People could tell me, why are you standing in that position? If somebody killed my loved one, I could never do that. Let's see how that works out for you.
Thank you. And also, just to follow up on that, I think it's so wild that you had the same visceral and physical reaction to both seeing images of your father after he was murdered and to the news of the execution and to the message that you were left with. So just a thought that I had to share, because you had like a physical reaction, right? It's like a guttural reaction. And then another thought is that, you know, I think meeting you right now and hearing you chat, like speak, the title of the title of the film takes on a different meaning, right? Because you hear "I am ready, Warden," and you think of "I'm ready to go." Meanwhile, now I'm going to walk out of here with "I'm ready to forgive," right? I'm ready to let this go or let it in. And I think, and you touched on it, so sorry if I'm making you repeat yourself, but I think some of us, and maybe many of us, are about to go on this journey of forgiveness. And, you know, Kippur is, you think of it of asking for forgiveness, and now you just reminded me that it's also about forgiving yourself, potentially.
Thank you for that insight. I think, do you have a question?
Yeah, so if you could just give us, you know, a one-sentence advice as to how to forgive both ourselves and others, potentially.
First, you have to love yourself, I would say. Thank you for the question. Appreciate it. You have to love yourself first. You have to learn how to love yourself. If you have anger towards someone else, you're not even loving yourself, because you're allowing yourself to feel that. Now, the one advice I would say is, don't wait for a situation like this to make you realize I have to self-reflect of what I truly believe in. Do it now before anything happens. That way, when something does happen, you're prepared, you're armored, you're strong, and you're tough, and you can face it.
You know, in the evolution of this film, Aaron was a little shy in the beginning of it. He was a little unable to come forward. So to your the other gentleman's question about how the filmmaking altered, I guess you never know that because you can't see him without the film and then with the film. But watching his evolution as a spokesperson for anti-death penalty and as a person not afraid of a camera or afraid to speak was really quite extraordinary, because he went from, I'm not doing this, maybe I'll do this, it's just going to get postponed again, okay, I'll do it. And his thinking process was very earnest to the camera and to the, you know, benefit and the talents of the director, producer, Smitri. Is that fair?
Yeah, and I told Smitri, the only way I'll do this is if there's no faking, no extra sound effects and the glitz and the glam. I don't want it to be a murder story. And it has to be real and authentic, because I'm opening up my life. At the end of the day, I have to go home. And this, you go home and you go to the movies, you're living a different life. This is my life, and I have to deal with this for the rest of my life. If we're going to tell the story, do it authentically. Do it authentically and let it be real, and with no narrative, and let people form their own opinions. And that was the base of why I would do it. I agreed to do it for that reason. And I knew that Smithy would give it the, that proper treatment, and she did.
Very fair, yes. Any other questions?
Earlier, when you began to talk about the change that occurred in your life when you opened yourself to forgiveness, you began to say something about what had happened. What were the changes in your life? So can you say a little bit more about that?
So I'll tell you a little insight here. So they had asked me to write a letter to John Henry Ramirez in the case that he was executed. That would be read at the end. I had already opened myself to the idea of forgiveness because I needed to change something, because I was just not living happy I just wasn't happy, and I didn't know why. It was ruining my relationships. It was ruining my mood. It was ruining my career. And once I did that, just in my head, God works in mysterious ways. I have a Bible app on my phone. When I was asked to write that, I only had about 2 hours before I had to turn it in. I got a Bible verse of the day about forgiveness, and it just verified, because I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. It just verified you're on the right path. It makes me emotional because it really changed who I am right now. It set me free. It liberated me from my own self. And it was, I think, God, you're on the right path. It's okay to feel this way. People are going to be mad or angry which stance you take. And that was a journey in itself.
Any other questions? There are questions in the front here, too.
I can run that.
Hi, just thank you both for an incredible film and your vulnerability and sharing all of that. You talked a lot about forgiveness, but there was another word that came up earlier, which was justice. And I'm curious what your views are on what feels just, and has that changed as your evolution with forgiveness has changed?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Justice, right? What does it mean? I see it this way. Look, we're man-made. The laws are man-made. Justice is what the law makes it to be. If you run a red light and the cop sees you, you get a ticket. That's the justice form. Whether you missed it barely or not, that's justice. They're creating that. That's what it is. I have to live with those rules. And I have to know, regardless of how I feel about it, there's consequences, right? Now, I forgave the guy who killed my father. Is that my form of justice? I don't know. I just know that justice can be whatever it is to you that allows you to live happy, move forward, and fruitfully at the end of the day.
Are you happy?
I'm very happy. I'm very happy. My life has changed dramatically, and it's not just based on documentary. It's based on how I choose to live and see things now. And I see things in a more positive way. Our life can be taken anytime. But if I choose to see the good and the happy in people, and that makes me feel better, then that's the way I'm going to live. And it's worked for me so far, so I'm going to keep going that way.
Sounds good to me. I think we have time for one more question.
Hi, I've seen this film twice now, and it's so powerful to hear you speak about it. I'm curious, just to veer back and also sort of tapping off of Sheila's question, are you happy with your choice of participating in this documentary?
Yes, I don't believe I should live in regret. Honestly, the documentary forced me to face this issue. Ultimately, it was an issue with myself, not with John Henry Ramirez. And so I'm happy that I made the decision to do it at the end of the day. But I'm also happy that I decided to say what I needed to say and how I said it, which is it has to be authentic, it has to be real.
Are you happy that you came here today?
I love coming to New York. It's always awesome. It's like
Thank you very much.
We are extremely happy that you came here. I really want to thank you for really sharing this film. First of all, Sheila, for making this film happen and letting people not only here in this room who got to experience this unbelievable experience and this in-depth conversation, but people all across the world who are watching this movie and learning from it, because those messages, even without the conversation, the messages come through, and the power of it really impacts. This is not another. I remember when I came into this, I thought I was going to another film about the death sentence, and that's not what this is about at all. And I think this film has really been a gift to this world, and your conversation here has been a gift to us. So thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm humble. Thank you.